Elderly folks who didn't finish high school speak flawless French. During my son's wedding, Aubrey, my son's wife, sneaked in a comment while using the fancy French. She smirked, making a private joke that felt awkward for a bride. It turned out, the speech we were asked to give for our son was a setup by Aubrey to embarrass us. Aubrey always looked down on us for not finishing high school and never missed a chance to insult us. As an Ivy League graduate, she often said things like, "For someone who dropped out of high school," when she suggested we participate in the wedding. Maybe she planned to make fun of us in front of her family. Perhaps she thought high school dropouts couldn't speak French properly. Despite her expectations, we reassured our son and, determined to stand up to Aubrey, I took the microphone. I'm Violet, turning 70 soon. Despite challenges growing up, we lead normal lives like any family. We've always protected our son from our struggles. Our sacrifices paid off when he married Aubrey, but the wedding brought new challenges. When we first met Aubrey, she seemed modest and gentle, making us happy about our son marrying such a wonderful person. But things changed when my husband talked about our son's past. He's always been smart, unlike us. He even went to state university. Aubrey interrupted. "Oh, so you two didn't go to a public university?" "No," I said, "we didn't finish high school due to family issues. We had to help with the family business instead of going to school." Despite some not-so-proud moments, we exchanged sad smiles at my eldest son's wife's reaction. It's not like we didn't want to go to school like everyone else, but we were proud of our home and didn't resent it. Well, hearing that someone only finished middle school is quite surprising, right? Absolutely. But I'm glad intelligence wasn't passed down to Tyler. What do you mean? Having in-laws who only finished middle school is like a black hen laying a white egg, my eldest son's wife said with a slight smile. The tension in the air skyrocketed instantly. While we couldn't say we were proud of it, my husband and I exchanged looks at her straightforward comments. Her words caught us off guard, but my eldest son's wife didn't seem bothered. Instead, she laughed, saying, "Oh, was that too hard for high school dropouts?" Her carefree smile left us speechless. Trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, we thought maybe she didn't mean any harm and held our tongues. However, her words and actions showed nothing but disdain, as if she was looking down on us. It seemed she viewed us as pitiable, uneducated in-laws just because of the term high school dropouts. From then on, her attitude worsened, and she made hurtful comments whenever she got the chance. "You two tied the knot pretty early, huh? Probably because you had nothing better to do." "That's not true. We got to know each other and then decided to marry. It was a time when you could choose who you loved. But marrying another high school dropout probably means you could only find someone at your level, right?" Aubrey said, her words filled with malice and a mocking smile. Despite our warnings about her behavior, she continued acting as if we were arrogant and didn't seem to listen. Around Tyler, our eldest son, she put on a decent act, but in his absence, she became bold, openly expressing her criticisms. Sure, my eldest son graduated from an Ivy League school, but her conduct showed that academic achievements don't necessarily reflect one's character. As the wedding preparations advanced, her attitude deteriorated. During dinners at our home, she made comments like, "Oh, even someone with just a middle school education can cook, huh?" Observing the meal I prepared, she once remarked, "Even with just a middle school education, you live in such a nice house. Maybe it's because your son is so accomplished." Her tone implied that we were somehow dependent on my eldest son. "Aubrey, please show some respect to my dad. This house was bought with his hard-earned money. Tyler is kind, and maybe he helped, but don't be disrespectful." Even when Tyler noticed and tried to intervene, Aubrey brushed it off, saying, "I didn't mean any harm," while smirking at us. When I looked into her condescending eyes, all I felt was malice. Even when my eldest son tried to correct her, she assumed I had tattled on her and seemed annoyed. He couldn't possibly earn enough to build a house just because he dropped out of high school. That's what my friends say too. To make things worse, My eldest son's wife spread unfounded rumors in town, suggesting that we were living off our son's earnings and enjoying a luxurious life at his expense. Her insensitivity had pushed us to our limits. Don't expect me to take care of you just because I married your son, okay? I joined Tyler's family to avoid dealing with burdens like you. You're preaching to the choir. We wouldn't want someone who can say such harsh words to look after us anyway. You're in denial. By the way, I hope you've let go of the idea of depending on Tyler. Please stop being a bother. No matter how many times we explained, Aubrey remained convinced that we planned to keep relying on my eldest son, continually reminding us. Each time we met, even after clarifying our intentions, she wouldn't listen, leaving me with nothing but sighs. As the tension around the upcoming wedding grew, Aubrey approached us with a request. She wanted us to give a speech as part of the wedding entertainment. Since we took some money from you both for the wedding, we'll let you attend. But in return, can you do me a favor? And I want it to be a surprise for Tyler. It's a bit last minute to tell me this, you know. I forgot. I'm sorry, but it's already scheduled, so I can't change it. A speech, huh? Well, if that's all you want, I guess it's fine. Despite her sharp words, I accepted that arguing was pointless and reluctantly agreed. Despite the request for a 10-minute speech from the groom's parents, we were doubtful but went along with it. Surely she wouldn't try to cause trouble during the speech. Just as I had that thought, upon hearing my response, Aubrey narrowed her eyes and grinned mischievously, saying, "Great. So I'll need the speech in French tomorrow." French? Why in the world? I asked, taken aback, and she looked down at me with a smug expression. Seeing that expression, I once again realized her malicious feelings towards us, and it left me truly disappointed. Many of my friends, like me, are Ivy League graduates. I don't want to be judged because my in-laws dropped out of high school. But even if they can relate, there's no reason the speech has to be in French, right? Consider how the other guests would feel. Fine, I guess French might be too much for high school dropouts. It must be embarrassing to make excuses, huh? With her persistent sarcasm and forceful demeanor, she left us with a warning to keep our promise and walked away. I exchanged a troubled look with my husband, and he simply shook his head in silence. While we were contemplating our next move, a call came from Tyler. "Mom, are you okay? Is everything all right?" "Yes, everything's fine." "What's up?" "I heard from Aubrey that you guys are going to help make the wedding special." I was worried she might have caused more trouble for you. He sounded apologetic as he said that, showing concern for Aubrey's excessive behavior. I wonder if choosing Aubrey as my life partner was a mistake. I never thought someone could change so much just because of their educational background. My eldest son expressed doubts, and it was painful for me to witness. Someone who never bragged about his education and grew up to be a kind-hearted person. Without further worry, my husband and I exchanged a knowing glance, nodding in agreement. "We're okay, honey. Don't stress. Just look forward to the wedding," we'd assured him. With that, we started preparing our speech, determined to show Aubrey our true selves. The next day, we headed to the wedding venue. On the wedding day, everything appeared to be going smoothly, except for the occasional glances and sneers from Aubrey's friends seated on her side. Even when we crossed paths in the corridor, they deliberately bumped into my shoulder without a simple greeting. Without an apology, they moved on with scornful smiles, leading me to believe they might have heard things about us from Aubrey. "Violet, are you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine." I could sense they had been briefed on something, but even then, their rudeness was quite evident. As first-time acquaintances, their character left much to be desired. If I was deemed the problem, they were certainly no better. I straightened my posture, sighed deeply, and waited for the right moment to respond. Now we have a surprise speech from the groom's parents. At the lively announcement, my husband and I looked up. My eldest son appeared shocked, and beside him, Aubrey sneered at us with a smirk that seemed entirely out of place for a bride. The French from the elderly high school dropouts is sure to be entertaining. My eldest son's wife whispered just loud enough for us to hear as we walked by. I had half a mind to slap that smug face, but I restrained myself and took hold of the microphone. After a brief moment to gather myself, I began my speech. First, let me share a little about us. As I started, I noticed from the corner of my eye that Aubrey's eyes widened in surprise. She likely expected a disappointing speech in broken French from the grandparents. While our fluency might not be native-like, it's safe to say we exceeded her expectations. My husband, seated beside me, went on to showcase proficiency in several other foreign languages, not just French. Witnessing Aubrey's wide-eyed and stunned expression, I couldn't help but smirk. How can you give such a speech? It's strange considering you didn't finish high school. Please don't judge a book by its cover, or in this case, by one's education. I replied softly and continued with my speech. I openly delivered it in French, addressing my eldest son's wife's disapproval of our educational background. I shared how she had unexpectedly requested the French speech the day before, emphasizing her demanding attitude as if this were the least we could do to attend the wedding. I even brought up her past insults towards us. I had much more to say, but my speech was cut short due to a flustered interruption from Aubrey. Nevertheless, the murmurs and whispers in the crowd, along with the shocked look on Aubrey's face, made me feel that revenge was achieved. Sorry for that little commotion. It was a surprise speech from the groom's parents. Thank you? No, thank you. And may I say, your pronunciation was impeccable. Did you study abroad? No, to our embarrassment, we dropped out of high school. While it's true that we didn't finish high school, my decision was driven by the need to support the family business. As for my husband, despite completing only middle school, he not only provided for his family, but also rose to become the CEO of a successful company. He climbed the ranks through relentless work, eventually establishing his own company and acquiring the necessary knowledge on his own. Skipping formal education was inconsequential for him. We crossed paths by chance through work, and understanding the similar challenges I faced, he stepped in to assist with my family's business. Thank you for helping our family. I can't express my gratitude enough. If you appreciate it, why not join us? Having someone who has faced similar challenges would be reassuring. That's how I joined my husband's company and continued working even after we got married until my retirement. Since the company had operations overseas, both my husband and I became fluent in French. I concluded with a smile to Aubrey. The bride requested us to deliver this speech in French at this beautiful venue. She arranged this opportunity so that my husband and I, who only completed middle school, wouldn't be looked down upon by her and her highly educated friends, some of whom graduated from prestigious universities like Harvard. Despite her request for a French speech, it seemed she couldn't fully comprehend it. Perhaps she struggled to understand our earlier speeches as well. Her earlier outbursts appeared to be fueled by her disdain for witnessing our fluent French. As I waved cheerfully, Aubrey responded timidly. Her usual sarcastic remarks vanished, and she remained silent, looking down for the rest of the event. Guests from my eldest son's wife's side seemed to grasp the speech better than she did. Their smiles from moments ago quickly faded. Aubrey's parents looked equally distressed, and the celebratory atmosphere swiftly shifted. After the ceremony, they hurried over to us, revealing their professional ties with my husband's company. As we were leaving the venue, they intercepted us, compelling my eldest son's wife, still in her elegant dress, to apologize. They, too, offered sincere apologies, and we tried our best to reassure them. Our daughter behaved terribly, and we are genuinely sorry. It's okay. In every family, people are different. I had no idea. It was unexpected. Well, maybe you never really paid attention to what I said. You were so proud, saying a black hen lays a white egg. When I disclosed the incident in front of her parents, both turned red and glared at their daughter. My eldest son's wife's complexion worsened even more. We'll make sure she reflects on her actions and discipline her appropriately to prevent a repeat. That's fine. She's now part of our son's family. She expressed a desire to distance herself from us. To make matters worse, tears welled up in my eldest son's wife's eyes. Her parents seemed formidable, But that was not our concern. Additionally, I heard of her friends had severed ties with her, believing baseless rumors, saying, "We thought you had terrible in-laws with just a middle school education." She must have felt embarrassed for getting entangled in all that. Why is this happening to me? If Tyler had told me, none of this would have happened. I did tell you. They had enough earnings to build a house and didn't need financial help. They even covered all of my college tuition. Yeah, you never really listened to me either. With those stern words, Tyler turned his back on her. Though typically mild-mannered, Tyler had reached his breaking point with the situation and was even contemplating divorce. Abandoned by relatives, friends, and even my eldest son, Aubrey found herself completely isolated. A few days after the ceremony, despite serious contemplation of divorce, it appeared they were still trying to work things out in their marriage. Despite being abandoned by my eldest son, Aubrey seemed to be working tirelessly, as if she had transformed into another person. "Violet, can we please put the past behind us and get along again? I don't recall us ever getting along in the first place." Although she seemed remorseful in front of Tyler, she often approached us, feigning apologies. Being one to hold grudges, I chose to ignore her attempts to mend ties with my eldest son and our family and kept my distance. Who was suggesting cutting ties, do you think? Oh, come on, stop pretending and lend me a hand, will you? Always nagging. You're the most spiteful person. Why, thank you. Trying to showcase an old couple's French skills was quite a move as well. Unhappy with my response, a frustrated Aubrey glared at me with her unapologetic attitude. It seemed our relationship might be irreparably damaged soon. Regardless of the difficult position it put her in, I wondered about the source of her high pride. She looked down on us and was unwilling to reflect on her actions. Recently, a relative who had recorded the wedding sent us the footage. When it reached my speech, we clearly saw the surprised expression on the bride's face and burst out laughing. School isn't the only place to learn. Maybe I should try picking up something new. Why not? Perhaps I'll join you. We decided to head to a bookstore together to search for study materials.